I would love to take questions because it's such a diverse audience. I don't know exactly if it's more on politics or FAA or inside baseball like security regulations or TSA or letters of authorization for RVSM, really get into the technology of it all. I mean, there's all sorts of subject matter that I could go, but some of you might have some questions that I can answer specifically for you as what we're trying to do in Washington. This guy over here. Did I get an answer back from my letter to Mr. Obama? I talked to some White House staff people, and I had been a White House staffer, and I kind of know a little bit of. When I was with Reagan got about 2,000 letters a day. Obama gets about 5,000 letters a day. They pick 30 of those letters each day to show to the president, they tell me. I probably should believe them when they say that. And they said that my letter was one of the letters that they picked to show him that day. We did not get a response. We have asked him to come out to Wichita to meet with the unemployed aircraft workers there. I know you've got 306 people laid off here, in fact, on furlough, and there are probably 30,000 laid off in Wichita right now, or something of that order of magnitude. And we have worked hard. All sorts of people have been using that letter as an argument to him to get him to come out and talk to the community and to show his support. I think what he's been doing is he doesn't want to go someplace where he doesn't have something good to talk about. And he was, I think, thinking that if he went out to Wichita, there'd be nothing but bad things to talk about. But now that FAA reauthorization has passed, and now that next-gen modernization is a little bit closer to reality, if I were his schedulers, I would go out and say, yeah, Jim, Coyne, I'm going to go out to Wichita like you asked, and I'm going to meet with the men and women who have helped make Air Force One, for example, or helped make all the Gulfstreams that fly Nancy Pelosi around, or the other aircraft that are out there. But if you'd like to see my letter, you can go on Google, just James Coyne letter to Obama. I also have some very interesting videos on my website about, one of them is called Hypocrisy, about Congress, when they condemn business leaders for their use of aviation, and yet there is not a single politician in Congress who doesn't love every second he's in a private airplane and doesn't rely upon it to get reelected or what have you. So there's a fair amount of hypocrisy both at the White House and in Congress, and that's just part of the name of politics. You got to get used to that. But I've recovered, I hope, from all of that. Any other questions I can answer? Yes. The new large aircraft security program. We have had many meetings with TSA about this. Frankly, no news about that we view as good news, because there's a significant belief that is going to sit on the TSA back burner for a long, long time. Now, of course, everything at TSA is on the back burner right now. They don't have a leader, as you may not know. The new administration appointed a new leader 6 months ago. His name was withdrawn when the Senate decided that they didn't think much of him. The second person nominated to head TSA by Mr. Obama just withdrew his name last week. So it's another example of how dysfunctional sometimes Washington is. An important organization like TSA is truly. They haven't yet, and it is rumored that they may just have the acting administrator made the administrator by default. But we've had good relationships with the general aviation community at TSA. Brian DeLauer, who is riding herd on the large aircraft security program.
Was that the last meeting?
Yes, was at our last NATA meeting, and we have spent a lot of time with him. We explained how unwise the original proposal was in no uncertain terms, and it was withdrawn. It was almost like a dog with its tail between its legs being run out of the room. And my guess is that today the chances of that. But my concern about TSA is not so much the TSA side of it; it's the Congress side of it. Because what we have in aviation security is we have a knee-jerk reaction of members of Congress. Whenever there's some incident in aviation, and whether it's the underwear bomber over Christmas, or who knows what it may be. It could have been that accident down in Austin where the plane went into. Whenever there's an incident, there's this knee-jerk reaction of many members of Congress to say, hey, we've got to have a hearing to come up with new TSA regulations to make sure this doesn't happen. And so what you have is this kind of step. We constantly are ratcheting up. What we're really doing is we're layering stupid regulations on top of stupid regulations. And that's to call a spade is what it really is. And we never get any of the stupid regulations withdrawn. They always just add new ones on top. So pretty soon we're going to have not only I'm just mad at them because they made me throw away my 4 ounces of shaving cream a couple weeks ago. And you go to some airports in America. I have been to Part 139 airports where there are more TSA employees in that airport than there are passengers. And you say to yourself, this is what we would call in business an unsustainable business model. And how that all ends up, I just don't know where it's headed. You folks who run airports have got to have a lot more patience than I will ever have with TSA bureaucracy. And here you've got an airline airport. Well, when you see some of the things that they are doing to just GA airports, they are sending TSA kind of squads to little GA airports, and they walk up to the FBO and they say, we're here from the TSA, and the FBO manager say, fine, what would you like me to tell you? And they just stand there because they don't know what to ask. They just have no idea what general aviation security is or isn't about. And we were so lucky last month when that plane in Austin, it wasn't a stolen airplane. If it had been a stolen airplane, I would be testifying today in Congress about how how the proposals from the Congress to put a chain fence around every airplane in America, or to lock up every propeller, or whatever. We're only one stupid congressional hearing away from worse TSA regulations, and this is what we are threatened with. The thing about the Large Aircraft Security Program that a lot of people don't know is TSA never asked for that. That was forced on them by Senator Rockefeller from West Virginia, who was insulted, he says, that when he went to get on his family's Gulfstream, the Rockefeller Gulfstream, that there was no one there to screen him down and to make him go through the kind of background, check. But he wanted, he kind of had this populist elitism. I want to show my voters that I don't consider myself any more special than the average poor bloke that has to go through a security line at the airport. And so he was insisting that in the name of political equality, every private jet passenger go through the same nonsense that an airline passenger goes through, even if the risk, and TSA kept telling them, hey, there's no risk, there's nothing to worry about. So we're going to be watching that closely. But I think for the time being, to answer your question, that's been put on a way, 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 way back burner, and we're going to try to do everything we can to keep it there.